With the NBA season in full swing, baseball getting underway, and the NCAA tournament, plus the Masters right around the corner, the sports calendar is officially heating up, and that means now is the perfect time to take your sports fan couch experience to the next level by getting in on the action yourself. The Athletic has partnered with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, to bring you the latest odds and exclusive offers to bring you closer to the game than ever. Subscribers of The Athletic get an in-depth analysis from our newsroom, plus insight into the latest betting trends and odds from BetMGM's team of experts, getting you the context that you need to nail your next pick or parlay. I'm looking at the Philadelphia 76ers at plus 1,400 to win the NBA title. Maybe they'll trade for Kyle Lowry. I don't know. If you bet that now, you just get that baked in. So right now, BetMGM is offering Down to Dunk listeners a risk-free bet up to $600 when you use the promo code DOWN2DUNK. Just sign up at betmgm.com and use the bonus code DOWN2DUNK to take advantage of this special offer from the king of sportsbooks. This offer is for new customers. That's a risk-free bet up to $600 at betmgm.com with the bonus code DOWN2DUNK. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. And with me today is my good friend, Michele Ibarra. Michele, what's up?
Well, we have a couple of days to analyze what the Thunder are and what is their future because they don't play. So it's a good time to see them maybe trying to analyze the first part of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's a good time to just stop for a second and reflect on the picks that they have and what this all means and where do we go from here and how do the Thunder accomplish their goals and all of those things. I think a good place to start, Michele, is in Houston because you look at what the Houston Rockets have become. It is an embarrassment beyond belief of what they've become. And last night, they lose to the Memphis Grizzlies 133-84.
Hey,
that's
they
the
struggled
score.
to score 85.
They struggled to score 85 points. They were miserable. I think they shot the worst percentage on like a certain volume of threes last night in NBA history. They're just full of just disgruntled veterans, and it's not a great situation. And I would not be surprised if we saw in the next couple weeks like a PJ Tucker or a Victor Oladipo. It was reported that Victor Oladipo was offered a contract extension. He said no, which just means to me, okay, they're going to trade him if he said no to that. And they're going straight into the tank. And so we go to tankathon.com. And I think that a lot of people would look at Houston's record at 11-21 and be a little scared that, oh no, the Thunder are going to lose this pick. And it's understandable. That's an understandable take. I think some people would prefer to have just a guaranteed, we're going to get Houston's lottery pick. It may not be a high pick, but we're still going to get it. And it's top 4 protected. So if we get them in like the 7, 8, 9, 10 range, that's better. But I would argue that it is much better for them to be the worst team than it is for them to be like the 10th worst team. Because the 10th worst pick in the draft, the 10th pick is not getting you much. That's not taking you where you want to go. If you want to have extraordinary success, picking 10 is not going to get you there. Now, some people are going to go pick out the 10th pick that was the best pick ever, but that's the exception to the rule. Now, if Houston is at where they're at now, or maybe they're at the 4th spot, and protection is there.
Stretch it. Suppose they end up with the worst record in the entire league.
Yeah,
They still have a coin flip, basically.
Exactly.
Possibility to get to 5. It's 47.9% to get number 5.
Yep.
So it's really a coin flip, and the odds really don't change. I would argue that it's basically irrelevant for OKC where Houston ends up. It's even it's good that they are below because, as you said, yes, you risk to lose the pick. The risk of you losing the pick is higher, but again, number 5 is where you want to be. Now, you can argue that maybe between number 5 and number 8, there is no real difference in terms of talent. This draft may say otherwise, but I tend to agree with that. But even if that is the case, I mean, having Houston between the fifth worst and the worst record in the league is probably what you want. Now, it's not getting the pick. No, it's not just getting a pick. It's getting the right pick.
Yeah.
This is what you want. I mean, I'm sure that Golden State is fine with the season that Minnesota is having. Yeah, they risk to lose the pick. They will have it unprotected next year. OKC doesn't benefit for that, but I'm sure that they are loving it. They really want that pick to be number 4. And that's it. Like, everything can happen. And when you trade a pick like that, the other team is rooting for you to be as bad as possible. Because, I mean, there are picks that are top 1 protected, top 2 protected. It's not that the team that traded for you is rooting for you to win just because they don't want you to use the protection. Like, number 5 is the real goal here.
Yeah. Yeah. We want Houston to lose. So if you're confused as to what we want for Houston, we want them to lose. We want them to lose as many games as possible. If they did not win another game, if they finished with 11 wins this season, I think that not only would Houston be happy about that, I think OKC would be happy about that. It's actually best for both at this point. Like, it's best for Houston to have a chance, and it's best for OKC to have a chance at it too.
And trust me, the one that is sweating, it's not Sam Presti.
Right.
Because for Presti, if you get pick number 5, you get a huge benefit of a trade that you already extracted value of, because like Pokusevski is part of the Russell Westbrook trade now, so they already extracted some value out of Russ. If they get the number 5 pick, it's incredible for Houston. If they lose like they are, and they don't get the pick, that is a disaster for them.
Yep. Yeah, without a doubt. And the Thunder will get 2 first-round picks no matter what. Miami has looked a lot better lately. They've won 6 in a row, 7 out of the last 10. I really thought this was going to happen. I did not think that Miami was going to give us a chance to get the number 1 pick with their pick. They have too good of a coaching staff. They have too good of a culture. They have all of that. So they're back on track. That's fine. That pick, I mean, they may end up with 8, 20, and 22 or something. That's a possibility with the way the Golden State has played as well. So that's a sincere possibility of where OKC could land with regards to picks. But they're also giving themselves a chance with Houston being as bad as they are to have 5, 9, and 22, which is a very good situation to be in. And there's still a lot of basketball to be played for this Thunder team. And there's a lot of situations that will play out over the course of this season. They will likely be able to trade some of these guys, probably not until the deadline. And I think some of it is that there's some teams that are going to be just holding back everything this entire season, not worried about the outcome because this is a weird season. I think part of the Thunder's record is that this is a weird season. And you mentioned this on Thunder After Dark, that a lot of teams just aren't giving their 100% effort to this Thunder team. So not only is the season weird and there's a lot of players that aren't playing games, there's also nights where teams just aren't showing up. Yeah. And clearly Denver showed up against OKC on Saturday night. That was excuse me, that was just a crazy thumping by the Nuggets against OKC, and they wanted to win. And this season is just odd. It's just going to be an odd season. But give me your quick thoughts, Mikael, and then I want to talk trade deadline.
On the Nuggets, yes, it was an incredible start for the Nuggets. But if you look deep into the numbers, yes, OKC was not up to the challenge defensively. I think that they allowed a few shots that they probably could have made a little bit tougher on Denver. But on the other end, over the first 10 minutes, where basically the game was won for Denver, even if you don't win the game in the first quarter, that is actually what happened. I think that OKC generated 10, 12 shots that were completely wide open. And on a regular night, OKC hits at least 32, 33% of them.
Yeah.
They hit none of them. And this is what happens in the NBA when you have a team that needs to play at their best level in order to be competitive. Some nights when you don't have it, when the shot doesn't fall, some teams has counter. Like you just give the ball to LeBron James, he will think about that. Think about like making things right. OKC is not that. They don't have an extra gear. The extra gear is playing with all their energy. And when they do, they are dangerous to anyone, especially against teams that are maybe more talented, but they don't take OKC seriously enough.
Yeah.
But when they miss shots, for them, it's almost impossible to win against very good teams. And this is the history of this season. If you don't start with the right foot, it's hard.
Yeah. Well, and the Thunder play a style of play. One, I think this is a style of play the Thunder organization itself has wanted to play all along. They've just had Russell Westbrook and superstars that dictate that you play a different way, which is okay. They are hoping that they also get players like that who make their level of play or the way they play differently. But I would say that this style of play that Mark Daigneault has implemented lends itself to making average to below average players much better than they really are. And we've seen that. Like Justin Jackson has stepped in and played very well. And Mavericks fans are like beating their heads against the wall. Like, what in the world? Like, who is that? How is he playing this well? And it's because I do think the style of play and the player empowerment that's going on within the organization right now has really helped that. And then just the Thunder have been around for a long time as a good organization, as an organization that helps players develop, and as an organization that empowers players. And I think they're just getting good at it. I think that's a huge part of this too. So there's a lot of variables at play. But when it comes to the trade deadline, I still believe the Thunder would like to trade George Hill and probably Mike Muscala and Al Horford. I think that they would like to trade all of those guys. And I think that you, especially at this time of the year, I don't know that every team is in let's figure out what we can get mode yet. And we all know this. We're all human beings. A lot of us procrastinate up to a deadline. And a deadline will do something to us. It will awaken our spirit and be like, oh my gosh, what do we got to do this now? And with a trade deadline, that happens with NBA teams. And also they get to see everything that's out on the table and figure out, okay, that is what I want. Because Sam Presti could call somebody today and say, hey, we'll give you George Hill for a protected first round pick. They're like, cool, that's great. I don't know if I can get something better for a first round pick at the deadline, though. I don't know what else is going to be offered. Same with Mike Muscala or with taking on Al Horford. I don't think teams know that that's the best they can get. And I think they even worry like, oh my goodness, what if something much better comes along? I mean, Milwaukee right now, even with like the Drew Holiday trade, what if a package similar to that could have gotten them James Harden?
Yeah.
And maybe it did, maybe it doesn't. But what if it does? What if that was the deal that got them James Harden? What if they were able to put together a 3-team deal with Victor Oladipo to get him to Milwaukee? And I think that some of the teams look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, we just better hang on. We just
Yeah.
better wait." And if there are teams that want to improve at the deadline, I think OKC is going to be there offering up these players, and maybe they'll get a deal done. Maybe they won't. But all this to say, the Thunder have set the course of this team, of this franchise, whenever they traded Dennis Schroeder, and basically they ended up getting Al Horford later on, but they did it to get at the pick, so they get Pokusevski. They traded Steven Adams. They traded Chris Paul. They traded all those guys to set the course of this team, and there's only so much they can do. They hired a really good coach that they're really proud of, that they're really excited about. They have a player like Shea who's blossoming. That's great.
Oh yeah.
And I think you said it so well on Thunder After Dark. One, if you're not subscribed to Thunder After Dark, please go subscribe to it, because it's very, very good. You get to hear more of Michele's thoughts, which is always a good thing. But
It depends, but
no, it doesn't. This team, even if this team you feel like they're good and they're ready to compete, this team isn't anywhere close to competing at a high level.
No.
Just nowhere close to it. And if Shea is a good player, like a very good player, that's a top 10 player in the league, that's wonderful. It's still not enough. You're still not there. I mean, look at the Bucks even. Like, look at Giannis and Middleton. Like, you could say that Giannis and Middleton, the combination of the two, were two top 12 to top 15 players, with Giannis being in the top 3 and Middleton being like the 15th best player in the league. You know what?
Yeah.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah.
Still not enough.
Yeah, no, this is what everyone should have in the back of their minds when they hear us talking about tanking and the fact that you really need to hit in one of those picks. Look at the top of the league, and don't make Utah being your your point of discussion. Utah is an exception, and Utah,
without a doubt,
we'll talk about Utah at the end of the season. Maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe Utah will be an exception of the exceptions. But right now, it's the Lakers, 2 All-NBA players. It's the Clippers, 2 All-NBA players, or 1.5, and they lost badly in the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the Nets.
It's the Nets, of course, with 3 All-NBA caliber players.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Warriors up until 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, where even without KD, they had the Splash Brothers plus Draymond Green. So this is what you need. Shea might be part of the deal. He might be. He might very well be number 1 because he blossoms into a James Harden type player and racks the league with his pick and roll abilities and 3-point shooting. That may happen. He still needs another guy. And it's not Dort, and it's not Paisley, and most likely it will not be Pokusevski, even if they all have possibilities to improve. Maybe one of them will be Ibaka, the Ibaka-like. Maybe one of them will be Reggie Jackson or Kevin Martin type players. All nice, but it's really, really not enough. And going back to the trade deadline, I really think that we know now that even if they don't trade the guys that they have, this team was still feisty enough to put up numbers, even without the veterans. This is the craziest thing. Like, even without George Hill, without Al Horford, this team is really, really putting an effort to play at a certain level. But not having Al and George Hill will be extremely helpful for OKC to some degree. To be honest with you, I always wonder, and probably it doesn't make any sense, but if you keep Horford around, can he be the center that helps you when you are almost there? On one end, you would say yes, but on the other, it will be probably 2 or 3 years from now where either Horford is gone or it's not this player anymore. So even that, you keep him just to build good habits and to have a steady veteran player. But again, I'm sure that Presti will not blink twice if any opportunity to move Muscala, George Hill, Horford, and even maybe part of the young core.
Sure.
Being too attached, and this is something where I made a lot of mistakes in general when I evaluate Thunder players. if a first round picks come by for Baisley, you need to think about it. For Dort, you really need to think about it, because I mean, you just need to be a little bit more cold and number based in order to understand if that is a good thing or not. Being okay, we will not trade Base and Dort. It's not something this smart. Maybe you think about the trade at the deadline and you say, well, no, a late first round pick for Dort is something that I don't need right now. But for Baisley, who knows?
Yeah, no question. Let's go to the stream. We have Christian from South London. We have Aniruddha from India. Thanks for joining. We have Paul joining in. He says he loves the new intro. Thank you so much. He's from Dallas.
Me too, by the way. Very good.
Oh, it's very fun.
Yeah.
People shouting out the Saturday episode with Alex and I. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys listening to that. Isaiah from the Philippines. We have Christos from Greece. We have Simon from New Zealand. Thank you to all of our New Zealand people that are still listening to Down to Dunk. That means a lot. Jess from Australia. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening on Saturday as well. We do appreciate that. We have Garrett from Arkansas. We have White Black wanting Cade Cunningham. Shoot, man. After what he did to OU the other day, we all want Cade Cunningham. Shoot. Mike from Melbourne, thanks for watching. Really appreciate everybody that's joined. White Black is from Morocco. Wow. Wojtek from Poland, thanks for joining. Thanks so much. Miguel Devella is on here as well. I believe Hoopstock69 is here as well. Thanks so much for joining. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to chat very quickly about Sam Vecenie's article on The Athletic. Is your Wi-Fi struggling to keep up with your streaming, work, gaming, video calling, and more? What about all at once? When you're connected to the world by Wi-Fi, be sure it's the best. Bring your Wi-Fi up to speed with Orbi Wi-Fi 6 from Netgear. Orbi Wi-Fi 6 is the best and latest in Wi-Fi. It covers your entire home with unmatched speeds and performance for uninterrupted working and learning, video calling, and streaming at home on more devices than ever before, in any part of the house. With Wi-Fi this advanced, you're going to want it everywhere. Ready for the best Wi-Fi ever? Find out what makes Netgear America's #1 choice for Wi-Fi at netgear.com/best Wi-Fi. That's netgear.com/best Wi-Fi. And we're back, Michele, from that quick break. Let's talk about Sam Vecenie's article. Was there anything that surprised you about this list?
Yeah, I was under the impression that Sam would have put Shai in a position that I didn't like. I was really afraid of that, and I was ready to put up a fight. And instead, no, he placed him exactly where I think he belongs, just outside the top 5. I really think that Shai is having an incredible season. Now, I would not trade if I was the other team, of course, Shai for any of the players ahead. And probably if I'm OKC, I don't trade him for any of the players that are below him. With players like Morant, it's probably a coin flip. Like, you keep the one that you have, and you don't go and trade Shai for Ja or something like that. But you surely trade. Well, maybe surely not, but you think about trading him for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is probably the one where I would probably wait, just because Shai can be that kind of player. But you trade Shai for guys like Luka Doncic and Zion and whoever is in front of him. So I really think that Sam analyzes the top player in a very fair way. I don't understand why OKC has the top 6, the number 6 player in the entire 25 and under, and it's still they are where they were in terms of ranking as a team. But,
but they don't have anybody else in the top 50.
Yeah, and that's probably that you can debate a little bit. Like, probably some of the player could be there just based on potential and and stuff like
who would you put there?
Well, I think that Dort starts for half of the league.
Yeah, I think Dort is the one that would be, but he'd be in the back half. Like he wouldn't be in the 30s, I don't think.
Well, it depends. The upside is not there, but he is probably one of the best defender, one-on-one defender that
Yeah.
we get. So I really wonder. I didn't scroll all the names that are there, and I listened to the pod where you and Alex did, and there were players. Is Keldon Johnson there?
Keldon Johnson's there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, I mean, even if he's probably more talented in terms of an offensive player, to me, like Dort has real production in crucial moments. So
he's got Keldon at 27.
Yeah, that I don't understand. Maybe he's really he was very very high on him during the draft process.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably some of a bias for him. And having it, I mean, I'm fine. Sam is way better at this job than I am. So I wouldn't argue that. But I think that Dort has chances to be in. I mean, I would have put him there because I think he proved that he can be useful to win basketball game during the playoffs, even without the shooting. And now the shooting is up and down, we know it, but I think the Dort belongs. And to me, I mean, I don't have the numbers of Keldon Johnson in front of me. Maybe I'll search for them, but I don't know. That to me seemed a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I don't I don't necessarily disagree. I think Dort deserves to be there, but everybody else, like Bazley is up and down. You know, he's had a great couple games. That's wonderful. But he had a game where he went 0 of 8. And I tweeted that about the 0 of 8 and that it's only happened one other time in Thunder history. And I didn't mean that as a slight to Baze. I just thought that was crazy.
Yeah,
that
it was very weird.
Literally no other player had ever done that besides Cameron Payne. Like that's just weird. If you're offended by that, didn't mean to offend anybody, but I just thought that was weird. And if that had happened like 20 times, like I'm not tweeting that out, you know, like who cares?
Yeah.
Happened once. So like it's just a weird little anomaly. It's not any slight against Bazley. He had I believe in Bazley and his potential and what he can do. People are sensitive. People are sensitive on Twitter. You can't just throw out facts without people just getting all up in arms.
No, clearly Twitter is a sensitive place. You know, to me, also Bazley may be someone that based on potential you possibly put there. Now that would have been a stretch. And now that I looked at Keldon Johnson's number, I'm fine with him being probably in the top 50. But I think that between him and Dort, I don't know. Like putting up numbers for the Spurs is always it's good. It's don't get me wrong. He's putting up
the environments between the Thunder and the Spurs are not incredibly different right now.
No.
Which is great. Like that's a great thing. Something they've been aiming for a while, and I think that they have accomplished it to a degree. Now they have to win titles and do all the things the Spurs have done, but I think the incubator for these young guys is similar. I think Isaiah Roby would probably be doing well in San Antonio as well. I think that guys like that just kind of off the scrap heap that are just these guys, these dudes that are just hanging out there. You can bring them in and they can be productive. And I think the Spurs have done that for forever. I mean, how many times have you watched a Spurs game at the beginning of the season and a guy's like putting up 20 and you're like, who is that? Like, I don't know. Jonathan Simmons, who is that? You know, like where did he come from? Yeah. And I think the Thunder they've started to do that. Even with Kenrich Williams, who's had a very good season. I think that people are like, who is that guy with the mullet? What's going on here?
Yeah. And Jonathan Simmons, like after a very, very good stint with San Antonio, where is he now?
He's at home.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if part of the strategy at the deadline, and I'll be quick because we are running out of time, if part of the deal is, well, we have young players, we like them, but if someone likes them more than we do, they are available. I mean, the only player that should be untouchable is Shea. And even Shea, if the right offer comes by.
Yeah.
I don't think it will, because it involves either one of the players that are ahead or another young prospect plus a very good pick.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Thunder will budge. But everyone is on the table for the right
Yeah.
price.
Yeah. There's 3 players on this list I would trade Shea for, and that's Luka, Tatum, and Zion. And those trades are not coming along.
No,
I wouldn't do it for Mitchell, because Mitchell's a little bit older, and Mitchell's shown more. That's great. I wouldn't do it for Bam Adebayo, just because the positional scarcity of having a guard wing that can score like he does is much more valuable. And then it might just be guys in the future. It might be guys in this draft, because I do suspect that, like, right now there aren't. I think there will maybe be 2 or 3 of those guys in this next draft that will be in this top 10 and bump somebody out. Maybe bump De'Aaron Fox out of the top 10, or Ja, or maybe Ja takes another leap, and maybe Trae Young falls back. I mean, this list is going to change a lot next year based on the level of talent. And Cade Cunningham could put himself in the top 5. Yeah. Based on what we've seen. That's certainly a possibility. We're going to cut this one short today. Thanks for joining us, Michele. We appreciate you joining, as always. You can follow Michele on Twitter at Mikey Berra. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew K. Schlecht. Be sure you go to shopgoodokc.com and get yourself some Down to Dunk gear. It's shopgoodokc.com/DTD. And that's where you can find some of the coolest stuff. We got the logo tees, the Down to Dunk logo tees. We've got our Too Good to Tank shirts. And we have the hoodie, the cotton candy hoodie that is it's gorgeous. It's unbelievable. Cannot wait to wear it. We hope that you guys have a great day. Be sure to go to theathletic.com/down-to-dunk to get The Athletic for $3.99 a month, where you can go read Sam Vecini's article. You can go look at his mock draft 1.0. Got to go check it out. It's good to read. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Monday, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.